Hi, I'm Lynn Langett. I recently had the opportunity to expand my knowledge of the Wolfram language when I had the opportunity to actually watch Stephen Wolfram program live. And I got inspired. So I've been playing around with the Wolfram programming cloud and I wanted to share what I've learned. So let's take a look. First, if you're not at all familiar, this is a new offering from the Wolfram company, and they're known for a mathematical programming language Mathematica, along with Wolfram Alpha, and I'll show you what that looks like if you've not seen it, which is as it says here, a computational knowledge engine. So a lot of us have seen this working with math with our kids or in school. So I'll just show you an example of how this is different than something like Google. So you can see, in addition to being able to use natural language, it's going to show you a lot of mathematical information about the particular value that I put in here, which is what is pi. So again, this is probably known to most people because Stephen Wolfram is quite famous for having created Mathematica. So in any case, the team there now has created this language, which has been out in beta for a little while, and about a year or so, and now they have the cloud to program on it. And the language seems to me to be an amalgamation of all the work that they've been doing. Best way to kind of take a look at it is to look at the scope and documentation and the code gallery. So I'm going to actually start with the code gallery here and just show you some of the fun things. And I really do think this is fun. Everything from, just how they would implement Hello World. And their programming concept is a notebook. And I'm going to be working with a notebook here in just a minute. But this is just a cloud deployed Hello World. And this is an actual notebook. And this is the code behind it. So they've got tons of samples, and the thing that's really interesting about this language is even though it's based in mathematics and it's functional, there is just so many capabilities built into it. It's actually really just fun to work with. So, and they have some really cool examples to start with. So I'll just show you a couple of them here. Make a flag map, because they have a lot of data that's built in, and this is the built-in data here. Along with the ability to extend, because this is a programming language. So, like I said, they have mathematical capabilities like, let's find something here, graphical representations. Also, the language is really rich in graphing and plotting. So you can take a look at it here, all the way to things like doing machine learning. So classifying images as day or night, for example, with very few lines of code. So there's it's a toy box actually for programmers. Really a lot of fun to work with. So to get an idea of what's there, I'm just going to go back. And if you go to the scope and documentation, you can see these are all sort of sections of the language. And it just depends on what you're interested in. I'm interested in things like linguistics because of my background, so social, cultural, and linguistic data, time-related computation, and they have just tons of samples inside of here. So if you are intrigued by this, how would you then get started? And I wanted to show you a sample here just so you could start too. So to get started, you go to programming.wolframcloud.com and you sign in. And the way this works is it's a freemium model. So you have a set of computation that is free, that's basic, so that you can just take a look at it, and then for commercial grade or more intense computation, then you pay them. So that's how this works. So you can see free and upgrade. And this is very similar to the model they have, for example, in Wolfram Alpha. For example, I'm a subscriber, so I can get more advanced computation. Some of the problems that I worked on in math, I can see all the steps and that kind of stuff. So anyway, but there's enough to start out with. So the idea here is that you can work in their cloud development environment, and you can write code and interact with it right in their cloud IDE. They do have a desktop IDE that you can download, but that's part of the premium. So to get started, you basically just click Create a New Notebook. And it's really kind of interesting in that when you work with the notebooks, you can write your code, but you can also write plain English. So if I go here, this is how you interact with it, and then I can write text. But let's say I wanted to, annotate or maybe start with a header or something, so I can say other text. I could just say, Lynn's demo notebook. So it's really, for somebody like me that's the linguist, this is just a lot more interesting. And you just press Shift and Enter to get a new line. Then you can see you have this little section over here, and you can interact with this section as well. And you can do, I'm going to start just with plain text and just, kind of set up. This is for, whoops, if I can type. This is for my demo. And again, this is just, like some kind of Word document. There's no computation going on here. But notice that you have these different forms of computation. So you can put in plain text. So I can say, I will be showing you great stuff. And then when you're ready to show some great stuff, what you can do is you can say, all right, I'm going to enter that either with the Wolfram language or freeform or a Wolfram alpha query. So I'm going to start with a freeform. Now if you click this, you're going to get this little equal sign right here. And then you can just type in plain English. So I can say, what time is it here now? And then of course you go Shift Enter, or you can press this little button down here to evaluate. And there it's evaluating on their cloud. And it's going to come back, and it's really interesting because unlike Google or Bing or search engine, it not only gives you the answer, but it's going to give you it in a context that you can then utilize. Rather than just set up links or whatever. You get okay, and it knows that what time zone I'm in and where I'm at. I notice I didn't say where I was, and so it puts the appropriate information. Now underneath here you get this little pop-up. And the little pop-up, the options here are further computations that you can do. So now what I did in this particular case is I used the freeform text. Now if I wanted to use something a little bit more enhanced, I can use a Wolfram alpha query. And I can click this, or I can actually just type in equals equals. So if I type in equals equals, oops, if I can type, then I get the star. And then if I say the same query and I say, what time is it here now? And then I go Shift Enter, or I could press the evaluate on the bottom. Then it's going to give me a little bit richer feedback because it's using the Wolfram alpha engine. And just to show you what that looks like, it's basically the same thing, right? What time is it here now? And then, so you're leveraging this in your programming language. So, if you are I don't know why there we go. If you are a Wolfram alpha user, then you can just leverage that. And I'm sure the same with Mathematica. I'm a Wolfram alpha, expert user, I guess, if you will. So I love that capability and I use it all the time. So that's built into the language. Now, in addition to this, what you can also do, of course, is you can use the Wolfram language. So functions always start with a capital letter, and then you can just you can either wait for the pop-up or do control space. And then once you find your function, then if there's any parameters, they're going to have a help. But this is obviously a really, really easy function. And if you want to see the documentation, you just click right here. And then it's really well linked. Okay, so you can just basically say now, and then it's going to show you that information. So pretty simple. Now notice when this came back, it came back with some, and I'll just close this off so you can see, with some suggestions that are richer, because now we're in the Wolfram language environment and we're out of plain English basically. So we can act on any of these sort of common manipulations, if you will. So let's just try this one, seconds since 1900. And so there it gives us absolute time, and it gives us the answer, and then again it gives us suggestion. For somebody who's inquisitive, this is just endless fun. I tell you, I've spent hours and hours playing around just with the really basic stuff. Now, it is a different kind of a syntax. You can see the functions start with capital letters, and there's a square bracket. And you notice this, how it passes in. This is an object. Really kind of interesting. So anything here, you can just drag it and pass it in. Obviously, you can also assign this to a variable, but you can do that with graphics or for anything like that. So to move on to some of the mathy stuff, because I'm sure some of you are here for the mathy stuff, let me look at an example here. So I'll just do a plot. So here, I'll just, if you want to just do Wolfram language, you don't have to type in equals or anything. You can just type. So I'm going to say plot, and then I'm just going to do, I'm going to select plot. And then I'll just show you this. You can see here it gives you the arguments, which is handy. And again, use the square bracket syntax. So there's telling you something is missing. I'm going to just do the plot of this. And then again, I'm going to need to pass some arguments here. So I'm going to pass those arguments in there. It's telling me, hey, you need some more information. So I'm going to do this particular plot. And let me just type this in. And okay, now I'm being a little slow here. So I want to make sure I get the open and close my parens. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass in the rest that I need here. So I'm going to go and do this, and I'll say, and let's see if I've got everything. I need a comma here. And now it looks good, and you can see there's no more red. And so for this one, I'm just going to click evaluate because you can do that. And notice you can evaluate that cell or all cells. So this is the concept of a cell, okay? So I'm just going to say evaluate cell, and now I've got my output, okay? Now, again, talking about having fun with this, I'm going to copy this and show you something that, you may know if you work with Mathematica, but I wasn't a Mathematica user, so I was having a lot of fun with this. So you can wrap anything in this manipulate command. So I'm going to say manipulate, and then I'm going to put my square brackets. Oops, my square brackets. Got to get used to that. And I'm going to paste this in. And now I want some variables because I want to be able to dynamically see how this works. So the way that you do that is I'm going to take this 2 value, and I want this to be a variable. I'm going to assign that to A. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to assign, I'm just going to assign it to A. Okay, so now I'm going to put in my comma, and then I'm going to put the range, and you use curly braces for that. I'm going to say A can go from 0 to 2, okay? And then I'm going to do Shift Enter. And I had made a syntax error there, which is common, and one of the challenges of the language, because it is got a lot of richness to it. But there you can see the concept, which is I've made my A slider here from, these from 0 to 2. So super fun. Additional sort of plotting you can do all this fancy 3D plotting. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste this one and you can see this is, again, classic sort of Mathematica stuff. And obviously you can put sliders in here too. So a really, really cool thing about the Wolfram Cloud is this is a programming language. This is an API. So what you can do with this is when you are manipulating, mathematically, pictures, whatever you're doing, is you can take your output and you can deploy it to the cloud. So I'm actually going to take a version of this and I'm going to deploy it to the cloud as an object. Now you can deploy it as an object which gives it a URL endpoint, as you'll see. All right, so I just want to show you the syntax of this. So it was actually a version of this one up here, this guy, and I wrapped it with cloud deploy, and then I'm making this public permission. So if you're watching this, unless I delete it, this will still be out there, and you could actually go to this endpoint once it creates it. And so now I can go out here, and I've got a fully manipulatable little widgety thing. Now, in addition to this, you can also make cloud callable APIs, which is actually super interesting to me in terms of interacting with the output of this language, because as you may know, I do some machine learning and big data stuff, and some of the demos that Stephen Wolfram showed at the conference I was at, which was Strange Loop, were very, very interesting. And I'll put the URL to his video on my video because I think it's worth watching. But again, it's super easy to work with this language and get started, and the free tier is really pretty good. So I would just encourage you to play around, and I'm going to take you back here to get started. Let's see, I guess you go here, which is programming.wolframcloud.com, and go into the free tier, and you start by creating a new notebook. So this is Lynn Langit, and I hope you're having as fun of a day as I am learning new programming topics.